When I look back on that summer, I still feel the warmth of the sun on my face and the crisp smell of pine trees around the lake. It was supposed to be just another vacation, an escape from the noise of New York City and my demanding job. But instead, it became a turning point in my life, one that led to an unexpected romance I will never regret. I had been working as a marketing executive in Manhattan, a job that had slowly been draining the life out of me. The long hours, constant deadlines, and endless meetings left me exhausted. My friends told me I needed a break, and for once, I listened. I booked a small cabin by Lake Tahoe in Nevada, far away from my office, my buzzing phone, and the endless chatter of city life. The drive from the airport to the cabin was stunning. The winding roads cut through tall evergreens, and glimpses of the lake shimmered in the distance, like glass under the sun. The cabin itself was small but cozy, with a porch that overlooked the water. I promised myself I wouldn't open my laptop, that I would spend my days reading, hiking, and maybe dipping my toes in the cool lake water. On the second morning, I woke early, brewed some coffee, and took it out to the porch. The lake was still, the mist just beginning to rise off the surface. That's when I noticed movement by the dock down below. A man was adjusting his kayak, preparing to push it into the water. He was tall, broad-shouldered, and moved with an ease that suggested he belonged there. Unlike me, the out-of-towner, he seemed like part of the scenery, calm, confident, and steady. He noticed me watching and gave a polite wave. I waved back, a little embarrassed at being caught staring. Later that day, as I was walking along a trail by the water, I saw him again. This time, he was pulling the kayak onto shore, and his hair was still wet from the lake. He smiled, as if we were already acquaintances. "Beautiful day, isn't it?" he said. "It really is," I replied, smiling back. "I don't think I've seen water this clear in years." He laughed lightly. "City girl?" I raised an eyebrow. "That obvious?" He nodded toward my shoes. "Sneakers on a hiking trail. Locals usually go for sturdier boots." I looked down and laughed. "Guilty. I'm from New York. I'm here for a couple of weeks trying to unplug." "Well, welcome to Tahoe," he said, extending his hand. "I'm Daniel." "Jessica," I said, shaking his hand. That was the beginning. Over the next few days, our paths seemed to cross more often. Sometimes I wondered if it was pure coincidence, or if he was making sure we ran into each other. Either way, I didn't mind. One afternoon, while I was sitting by the water sketching the trees in my notebook, he came over. "Do you like kayaking?" he asked. "I've never tried," I admitted. "Then you're in luck," he said with a grin. "I've got an extra kayak. Want me to show you?" I hesitated, but there was something in his tone, gentle, inviting, that made me say yes. That first time on the lake was both thrilling and terrifying. I wobbled in the kayak, afraid I'd tip over, but Daniel stayed close, guiding me patiently. He told me about the lake, the hidden coves, and the wildlife. His voice was calm, like the water itself, and slowly, my nerves faded. "You're a natural," he said as we drifted side by side. I laughed. "That's generous. I'm just trying not to fall in." "Falling in isn't the worst thing," he said, smiling. "It means you're not afraid to try." That became a theme of our time together. With Daniel, I tried things I'd never done before. We went hiking up trails that gave breathtaking views of the lake. He showed me how to fish, though I wasn't very good at it. We sat on the porch one evening, watching the stars come out one by one, and he pointed out constellations I had only read about. I found myself opening up to him in ways I didn't expect. I told him about my life in New York, about the stress of my job, and the loneliness that came with it. He listened intently, never interrupting, never judging. In return, he told me about his life. He had grown up in the area, left for college in California, but came back to run his family's outdoor sports shop after his father passed away. He loved the lake, the community, and the slower pace of life. "You ever think about staying somewhere like this?" he asked one evening as we sat by a fire pit. I looked into the flames, considering the question. "Sometimes. But I don't know if I could really do it. I'm so used to the city. It feels like who I am." "Or maybe," he said quietly, It just feels like who you had to be. His words lingered with me. For the first time in years, I questioned whether the life I was living was truly mine, or just the one I had settled into. One morning near the end of my stay, I woke to find the sky overcast. The lake looked different, moody and gray, but still beautiful. Daniel knocked on my cabin door. "Want to see something special?" he asked. I grabbed a jacket and followed him. We hiked to a high overlook where the lake stretched endlessly below us. The clouds parted just enough for a ray of sunlight to touch the water, making it glow like silver. I felt my breath catch. "It's incredible." Daniel glanced at me, then back at the view. "I wanted you to see it before you left. Sometimes beauty like this, it reminds you what matters." I turned to him, and for a moment, the world felt still. Not because of the view, but because of him, this man who had entered my life so unexpectedly and made me see things differently. "Thank you," I whispered.
"For what?" he asked.
"For reminding me." That evening, we sat quietly on the dock as the sun set, the colors painting the water in shades of pink and orange. Neither of us needed to say much. It was enough to sit together, listening to the gentle lapping of the water against the shore. The next day, I had to leave. Packing my bags was harder than I thought it would be. When Daniel came by to say goodbye, I felt a lump in my throat. "I'm glad we met," I told him. "Me too," he said. "And Jessica, you don't have to go back to being someone you don't want to be. Remember that." I nodded, holding back tears. "I will." Back in New York, everything felt louder, busier, and somehow emptier. But I carried the lake with me. I carried Daniel's words, his kindness, and the reminder that life didn't have to be about deadlines and endless noise. It could be about moments, quiet, meaningful, and real. Over the months, Daniel and I stayed in touch. Calls, emails, and texts turned into visits. And each time I went back to the lake, I felt more at home. Slowly, I realized that the life I wanted wasn't in the skyscrapers of Manhattan, but in the still waters of Tahoe, where someone was waiting for me. And so I made a choice. A scary one, yes, but one I will never regret. I left the city, moved into a little cabin by the lake, and built a new life with Daniel. Because sometimes, the most unexpected vacations lead you exactly where you were meant to be.